Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of my podcast, What's Up with Wrestling. I am the Kiwi Buzzsaw, Travis Banks, and I want to know what is up with wrestling. Just want to say thanks so much for all your feedback that you guys have been sending in, all the questions, the ratings on the podcast. It has been very enthusiastic and inspiring to make more content. So I appreciate and I love you all very, very much. Jessica Jackson is still away. She's still in Inglaterra, in England, for you non-Spanish speakers out there. So I am still flying solo on this one, trying to navigate this crazy world of podcasting and figure out how to do it by myself. Yeah, the last podcast was fun. I had a really good time, and there was a lot of good feedback again, like I said, from all of you guys. So I really, really appreciate that. So Travis, what is up with wrestling? Well, Travis, hold on. Can you hear my neighbors? Just as I start recording every time. I told you guys. You guys didn't believe me, but here I am, proving it right. Uh, is it gone? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Yeah. So just thank you for all the feedback. It's very much appreciated. So Travis, what's up with wrestling? Well, on the weekend I wrestled for a company called Bill. Well, it's just called Bill Promotions, which means bazaar, as in like a market, I suppose. Bazaar, is that right? I don't even know if that's right actually. Bazaar International Lucha Libre, and it's very small at the moment. They are just sort of building up the promotion, and it's run, which is the most craziest thing. It's run out of a train station, right smack bang in the middle of a train station. There's like a soccer pitch that's been like just put up, I guess, and the ring's put there, and all the banners are up, and they kind of make like a whole day of it, where it's a big sort of festival thing. And the last time I was at, not the last time, but the time before, there was like a reggaeton singer and everything. They're really kind of putting a lot of effort into it, and a lot of wrestlers come and just set up their stalls and like sell merch and stuff like that. So, it was, yeah, it's an interesting thing, and like the matches are just really more of a casual audience. Not too many at the moment, but yeah, it was a nice relaxing weekend just to have that one, if you know what I'm saying. I saw one of the craziest botches ever on the weekend. It was like the match might have been two matches before me, and a guy. It was a dive spot. Everybody had dove out onto everybody else, and the last guy went to run in. He was a big guy, and he hit the ropes, and they just completely snapped, and he fucking bounced his back off the side of the ring apron and just disappeared on the other side. And the crowd just went dead silent. Oh yeah, so it was scary. And I hope he's okay. I think I didn't get to see him, but I'm not sure if they actually might have been an ambulance. Oh god, I don't remember now that I'm thinking about it. I remember seeing him getting like carried out, maybe. Yeah, so it must have been pretty bad. But I didn't actually know what was going on until I actually, well, the thing, I actually saw it on a video afterwards, and I was like, is that the show that I was just on? And I actually heard the ropes go. Um, so yeah, so we were concerned for our match, but they replaced the ropes. But yeah, those things are always scary in professional wrestling. Um, and I think I've only ever seen it one time before, like live, and that was when I was working for WCPW, and there was a match between Will Ospreay and Ricochet, and they did their opening spot, and they double like did their handsprings off the ropes, and the ropes broke. Big pop from the crowd, obviously, and then obviously they still got to finish the match, and they did, which was the craziest thing. They were still doing like all their like shooting star presses and stuff off the second rope. Um, just maniacs, I suppose. So yeah, so that was what I was up to, and then was it? That was Sunday. On Saturday, I did a podcast with my friend Mauricio. Um, he is the promoter of Criminal Lucha Libre. I can't remember what his new promotion's called though. It might be CVW or CPW. I don't remember. But yeah, I did his podcast and that was fun. And he took me out for some food, had some great seafood. Afterwards, I don't actually know what the podcast is called because I was just thinking about it as I started. Um, but I will be posting that on my social media and yeah, and you guys can check that out, please, if you could. Um, what else is there to update you guys on? This week I have a weekend off, so I'm just gonna get stuck into training and yeah, and the thing with wrestling is like I always want to be busy. Like that's like hands down like the most important thing ever. But if you get one of those rare weekends off where you can just do nothing and just train and just have some time to yourself, like it's absolutely amazing. I just that's those are the things that I hope for sometimes, just to give my body a little bit of a rest as well, and also just to give you a little bit of your head a little bit of a rest as well, because I find sometimes wrestling can get really really stressful, especially in this day and age of wrestling for me. Again, all these questions, a lot of questions sent in by fans. Really happy with that. Thank you guys. It really helps the content of this podcast. And if you would like to send questions to me, you can send them to my Facebook, to my to my Instagram. Don't send them to me on Twitter. But yeah, and you guys have been doing that, which is great. And also, if you're listening to this on Spotify, you can leave a question and a rating. If you could do that, it helps me out tremendously. Same with YouTube. If you can leave a comment and a like, and if you could tell your friends, tell your mother, bloody lovely. Okay, so I reckon we should just crack in to the questions. What do you think, guys? Leave a comment. No, I don't know. Just trying to create content too. Okay, first question for the podcast. Um, from our good friend Scorp. Scorp is a good friend from when I used to Twitch stream, and he's always supported me and Jess a lot. So I appreciate you with more support. I had no idea where I was going with that. Okay, what do you think about WWE going to Netflix? I mean, I don't know too much about the deal, but there is a couple of things that I do think right off the bat. Again, I don't know anything about this. I haven't even like researched it. I just saw the headlines, and that's a massive deal with a lot of money. And I am excited for my friends that still work in that company. It's great for them. Um, but some questions that I raise is like, does the content um is it like the network? Is it gonna still have old school wrestling there? Is there a library of wrestling to access, or is that somewhere else? Or does the network still is the network still gonna be there? Because like to me, the coolest thing about the network when it first started was just like the library of content. And I would just go back through and watch old matches and old shows and stuff like that. And that was the thing that really was like valuable to me when I first got, the network. So is Netflix going to do something similar to that? And that's like my first question that I would want to ask about this. And maybe there is an answer out there. Again, I haven't researched anything at all. But then the second one is I'm not sure how that affects the live experience in terms of like WWE right now is such a machine for like social media, clicks, views, and stuff. And I feel like there's, when Raw or SmackDown or NXT or whatever goes out live, the experience for fans is to immediately tweet or Instagram or Facebook about what they're seeing. And if it's on Netflix, is it recorded and then put on after the fact? Because then that discourse isn't like live and direct. And I feel like that kind of takes away from the experience. Again, I'm not actually sure if this is how it's working because I probably should have looked. But those are my two questions, my main questions that I have on that. Like the live experience that you can interact and tweet and share your opinions and thoughts and whatever else right out the gate. And then also, too, on top of that, where does all the content reside? especially the old content and all the 90s pay-per-views and stuff like that. Because yeah, those are my thoughts, like straight out the gate when giving me this question. But again, it just makes wrestling so much bigger, doesn't it? There's so much money now involved in it, and it's crazy. It's crazy to even think that wrestling has gotten to a position where like they're offering like what is it, 5 billion or something like that for the content. So Netflix themselves must see something in it, like it's worth it. So yeah, that's what I think about that. Okay, cool. Jeff, my good friend Jeff, when will I return to IWIG? And it would be great to see me as champ there again. Thanks for that question, Jeff. IWIG, I have a little like love hate relationship um with, but I will always be thankful and grateful that they gave me an opportunity and a platform here in Mexico. I see another question a little bit later that might link into this, but like when I first got here, there wasn't too many opportunities for me. Um, a lot of people try to block me from things and try to take my work away from me. A couple of the streaming services refused to work with me. Um, and then it wasn't until I went and had a meeting with Mr. Moreno, the owner of IWIG, and he said that he didn't care about any of that. Now, for me, that was perfect because I just wanted to show people that I was here, willing to work, willing to, do my thing, and just have a chance to be able to get back into wrestling. And then after they started booking me, that's when all my other bookings started picking up again. And so I always have a soft spot in my heart for that arena. Um, and also they gave me the title right out of the gate, and they didn't have to do that, which also helped. Had some great matches with Alpha Wolf and Dragonbane. Um, and yeah, and like that crowd often can be weird, yes, but also they could be really like uh, they were really receptive to me and Jess as well. So I really am grateful for that. Now, did I enjoy my whole time there? No, I didn't. There's a lot of backstage politics and stuff like that that goes on. Well, and it happens everywhere. Happens everywhere, especially in Mexico and especially there. And it was just something that I didn't really want. I wanted to try and make my career, especially now after everything that's happened, a little more stress free. And I found that that was becoming more of a chore than I had hoped. Um, and I think it's noted that IWIG doesn't treat hmm, doesn't treat the wrestlers well unless you have a big name. And I'm not saying like they're like backstage yelling at us or anything like that. I'm not saying that. Just kind of in terms of uh, the value your work. You know, I value my work at a certain standard, and I don't think it was being one. Um, I don't think they treated it the way that I value my work, and I don't think that they thought that my work was that valuable. If that makes sense. I'm trying to not like mince my words here. I'm trying to just say like they didn't monetarily, they didn't pay me what I felt I was worth there. And at first in Mexico that was okay because I didn't really have anywhere else to go or look. You know what I mean? Or things, so I needed all the wrestling matches that I could get. And then after time I felt like they didn't feel like they could pay me what I was worth, if that makes sense. And then also not even monetarily, like I feel like they didn't, booking wise, they didn't value what I could potentially bring to the table there. And again, that's subjective. Everybody obviously can think differently. Maybe you don't like my work or something like that. But like for me personally, it was just becoming a bit of a bit of a chore, like I said before. So, oh, that was even what the question you asked. the question you asked was what will I like to return. I think I would. Again, if I'm dipping in and out, I don't want to be there a lot. It's always good to go back to the places that you started with and have helped you, and maybe you can give back to them. And I would love to go back and have have a match or two, and I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will because IWIGs are pretty. They're always running Thursdays and Sundays, so yeah, and the arena is cool as well. I always liked Arena Nakopen. It's where Nacho Libre was filmed, and and I think that's pretty cool to be honest. And and they will tell you stuff as well, like Eddie used to wrestle here, like Benoit's wrestled here, and various other people, and like that to me is like crazy that I'm kind of just sitting in the same locker room. There's like so much history of professional wrestling, so I would to answer your question, man. And I would love to be champ anywhere. So I'd love to be champ there again. That would be cool. This one comes from Jessica Jackson, all the way from England. Do you miss me? Uh, oh shit! Fucking hell! Hold on. Let me have a bloody think about that one. Yes. Uh, it can be very lonely in Mexico City. Yeah, of course I miss you, and I can't wait for you to be back. But I'm happy that you're there with your family, seeing Benji, and I love the video updates of you and Benji every day. So yeah, have a great time, enjoy it. Don't worry about me over here by myself. I've got the podcast and all my all my adoring fans out there. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So of course I miss you. You didn't think I was going to add this question in, did you? Phew. Okay, let's move on. From Edda, what's up, Edda? What was the biggest challenge when you first got to Mexico? Oh fuck. Okay, let's try and get into this and try and be as diplomatic as possible. Um, of course, I had the problems of the speaking out movement coming here, and I knew myself that that in itself was going to be a massive problem, and it was going to take time for people to trust that I wasn't here for any disingenuous reasons. So I already had that sort of going against me coming here. But there was a few. I don't want to really want. I'll name a few, but like I don't really want to name too many people. But there was a few people that actually um kind of I don't know how to explain it. Told me what I wanted to hear, and in hopes to keep me sweet, and I guess keep me close by when they weren't ever going to deliver on the promises that they were making, and it was with big companies. Um, so me coming out, coming back to wrestling, as scary and as anxiety inducing as it was already, I was kind of hanging on these promises of some of these people in hopes that it would lead to bigger things. And as time went on and these things unfolded, I realized that I was stupid to trust people that I really didn't actually have a working relationship with. I know that's a sort of vague answer, but that was one of the things. And then the one thing that I will speak on was when I first came here, again, like I said, I didn't care to get on big shows right away. I didn't care to do something massive. I knew that this was going to be a massive undertaking and a huge journey to repair my reputation. And with that said, I got here and I was staying at Big Lucha in the gym and Bandito's gym. And the very next day was a Ring of Honor Big Lucha card. And I didn't care to be on it. And I said that I think it's going to cause problems. Please, I don't need the work right now. Just let me sort of go at this slowly and build up to it before anybody really realizes that I'm back at wrestling. And I I sort of being in a vulnerable state and kind of just thinking selfishly that I kind of just wanted to get back to wrestling. Just listened to Bandito, and when he said that oh man, just jump on the card, like just be on the card. It doesn't matter, like you know, um, it will be okay. And in my heart, I wanted to believe that it would be okay, and maybe that it would just be the first kind of like rip the band-aid off, we're back to wrestling now sort of thing. So I kind of just listened to him and was like, all right, man, like let's sort of do that. And obviously, I was on that card, and then it all kicked off online and all the shit. And then I felt horrible because I knew it was putting heat on him, even though he like didn't listen to me when I said I think this isn't a good idea. And I felt bad about that, and I didn't want to bring him any more heat. I didn't want to bring the gym any more heat. I didn't want to bring the students any heat. But what then happened, I'm just trying to remember the timeline of it. I don't want to get into the details of it, but like what then happened was, as the heat grew more for him, he kind of was backed into a corner and really revealed the person that feel that he is. Um, and I understand, because when you're faced with this much heat, you don't really know what to do. Um, and the way he acted in that moment, I felt was a really telling, mm, was a real kind of like spotlight on the character of that person. He had claimed to be my brother, and that he was going to look out for me and all this stuff. And then when the heat was on, he completely buckled, which again I understand. But then, so to answer your question, Etta, coming out of that, he then made it his mission to try and block me from working. Um, and that was really fucking upsetting, because the thing is, if I had come to Mexico just by myself and Jess wasn't with me, you know what? I think I could have handled that a little bit more. But you're blocking me from working, and I need to provide for me and Jess. It's not just me. I need to look after both of us, you know? And his actions in that moment, I still feel the effects of to this day. Um, a lot of promoters have spoken to me about how he had tried to block me. And coming into a new country, not speaking the language, trying to figure out if I can come back to wrestling and repair my reputation. And then on top of that, you have one of the biggest stars in Mexico trying to block me because he's getting so much heat because of a decision that he made, was the most fucking impossible hurdle that we had to get over. And then that actually stopped a lot of other big things from happening, and also caused a lot of like, hmm, caused a lot of like terrible, not terrible fans, I guess, just like fans that are chasing clout to fucking start posting about me, and they thought it was like gloves off on me. And they could say whatever they want and make up stories about who I am, and not even know who I am, and say that I'm a terrible person and this and that. And it just wasn't fuck. It just wasn't a great time. It was, and I'm glad I'm through. Me and Jess are through it now. But at that time, it was the apps. I didn't think that speaking out could get any worse until all of that happened, and then I realized that there was still more rock bottom to come. But now that we're through it, and I didn't just buckle and go home or go back to New Zealand. Um, we stuck it out, and the thing was, I just wanted to show people that I could stay here and work, and be a professional, and there's no issues, um because for me, that's the most important thing. I go to work, I do my job, I don't cause any problems, and then I come home and just live my life outside of wrestling. That's all I want out of my life. And it can be hard sometimes when those kind of lines blur. And that's all I wanted to show in Mexico, that I'm a professional. And sometimes promoters want to fucking make it personal. and below that line and mix it all up and all that stuff. And that shit at the start with him definitely was the biggest hurdle that me and Jess had to overcome to start my career here in Mexico. So start our careers here in Mexico because Jess was affected as well. So I hope I answered that pretty diplomatically. Um, Again, I understand. Just to put a full stop on that point, I understand that my situation is difficult for everybody involved. I understand that like having heat and all that, like it's you're looking out. You obviously going to look out for yourself and your business. I understand that, but there is a way to handle these things without trying to fucking destroy people. So you know that's what I think. So to answer your question, that was the biggest challenge. Okay, next question from Erasmo Camara. I hope I said that right, man. This dude, massive fan. Thank you so much, man. You always commenting on my stuff on Facebook. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, yeah, really, just fucking awesome. Okay, two questions. Favorite Christmas movie? So really quick, me and Jess every Christmas, we try and lead up to Christmas by watching a Christmas movie every day as it comes up to Christmas because Jess loves Christmas. I love Christmas. It's such a special time, and we always try and like watch all the Christmas movies. Um, and I'll give you a top five that we have to watch. Um, Die Hard is usually on it, but we actually didn't get around to watching Die Hard this year. There's Arthur Christmas, um, Jingle All the Way, Santa Claus 1, 2, and 3. Wait, that's five. Oh wait, there's still more. There's still more. And the number one slot for Christmas movies is The Grinch with Jim Carrey. I will not hear any other any other argument. It is the best Christmas movie, hands down. Um, oh, I love it. Well, the thing is, I love Jim Carrey. He's like my favorite actor, and just to see, you can just tell that he's having like the just chewing the absolute scenery on set, and yeah, I love it. And I know he had like a horrendous time making that movie, like with all the makeup and stuff like that. But to see him go through such a horrendous time and then still put on such a performance is crazy. And there's loads of like weird little Easter eggs as well, like adult Easter eggs that you didn't realize when you were a kid watching that. Like they go to that Who party and they're all chucking like keys in the bowl, which is like it's just a throwaway scene, but like no kid obviously is ever going to understand what that means. But like just they just put it in. It's like what the hell? But my absolute favorite scene is when the dog is when he's like directing the dog to play Rudolph or whatever, and the dog like smacks his nose off, and he's like, "Brilliant! You reject your own nose." Oh, it's such a good movie. Ah, yeah, good question. Great question. Excellent. Okay. And the second question is favorite video game franchise. Ooh, that's too many because I'm a massive video game connoisseur, I guess you would say. Um, I'll try and do it quick. Right off the top of my head, Metal Gear Solid, the whole franchise is like my favorite. The specific game that I love the most, apart from one which started it all, is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Just a massive fucking adventure through a jungle. All the bosses are awesome, and most of the games are awesome. And yeah, I just remember playing that for hours and hours. The Grand Theft Auto series is another massive one. I haven't really played. Well, I did used to play Grand Theft Auto 5 a lot, but I kind of like went away from it just because I'm hoping to pick up GTA 6 when it comes out. Twisted Metal franchise. My One of my favorite games of all time is Twisted Metal 2 World Tour. And I used to fucking just play that for hours on end. Hours. Absolute hours. Um, the Diablo franchise, mainly Diablo 2, which I think is a given. I still play this on my Nintendo Switch to this day. I love the Pokemon franchise. If anybody loves Pokemon out there, all I do is I hunt for shiny Pokemon. I have about 70 to 80 shiny Pokemon in my Pokedex, but I haven't played it in a little while. What else do I like? Oh, there's too many to name, guys. I'm definitely missing some franchises. Okay, franchises. Let's think about this. I like the Borderlands franchise. That was always cool. Halo was always, I mean, more so when I was younger, but not so much now. Halo was always like cool. Mm, sorry if you can hear a motorbike in the background. Um, I think that's about all. I think that's about all. As long as we've got the Metal Gear Solid one in there, Twisted Metal, I'm happy. Pokemon. Playing a lot of Minecraft lately, which is weird. I never thought I would play that. Um, Oh, of course, the SmackDown versus Raw franchise and like SmackDown before that, mainly SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. Funny story with that, me and my best friend Luke, when we were young, we would hire SmackDown Here Comes the Pain out from the video store in our local town. Sorry, in the small town that we grew up, because they used to have like, to any younger wrestlers out, younger people out there, we used to have video stores where you'd go hire out the game and take it, the physical copy, and then you take it back. Whoa. That's not gunshots, guys. That's fireworks. Sets off all the dogs. So we would get and because we loved obviously wrestling so much, we hired. They only had one copy, and we hired it out so much that we actually scratched the disc, like just from overuse, and we couldn't get it to work. So in the end, we just took it back, and we never heard from them again. Yeah, so that franchise as well. I'm missing out. Like a million. I know the Monster Hunter franchise. I have to like shout that out as well because that's like giving me a lot of hours of playtime. Oh God, what am I even doing? Fallout franchise. That's my absolute favorite as well. Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. I've spent so much time on. Damn, how did I even forget that? That's what I mean. There's too many to even name, but that's why it's such a good question. But yeah, yeah. So let me think. Let me think. Um, damn, man. I used to play. No, that's not a video game franchise. I was gonna say I used to play RuneScape. If anybody used to play RuneScape. Um, damn, dude. Command and Conquer. Those types of games. They don't even like make those types of games anymore. Those like military strategy types of games. Age of Empires. Oh, those were sick. Uh, I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, I love the Star Wars Battlefront series. Me and my friend Luke, the guy that I just said before, we used to spend hours and hours playing that. Um, some good memories, man. And like again, GTA. I remember so much. Probably spent the most time on Fallout or GTA. Um, yeah, 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 that's way too much information. All right, okay, here we go. All right, a few questions left. Okay, from Scorp. Favorite championship design and why is it the WCW Big Gold Belt? Well, Scorp, that's a great answer. And I would definitely say it is up there. But I also liked the Winged Eagle belt from the Attitude Era. I think those are my two favorite titles. Because they're quite classic looking in terms of like, whatever. Um, yeah, I think those two. Yeah, good shout on the big WCW Big Gold Belt, and yeah, the Winged Eagle belt from the Attitude Era. I also like designs that are a little bit different as well. Like I like the NWA belt for the longest time, just because it looked different from everything else, and like you could instantly recognize it, and I think that makes a good belt. Um, I always like not any I can like name off my head, but those like old school catch belts where they kind of just look like an actual belt. like a leather belt. You know what I mean? Those things are always like kind of cool to me as well, and like always have like some big history to them. What else? TNA. Trying to just think of other belts designs. No, I think that's all. But yeah, what's your whoever's listening out there? What's your favorite championship design? Leave it in the comments. Okay, we'll move on. Mr. Maniac, how was your first day training to be a wrestler? Okay, so it was great. I mean, I've told my story a million times, and there was like I would train during the day because we had access to a ring, and it would be me and this guy called Jaden and the trainer. But then also on top of that, the company that surrounded that place was called NZWPW, and I remember my very first actual training with the company, and I was nervous, and of course you're nervous because you don't know what to expect. But it, I remember. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember now. So I'd moved my whole life down to Wellington in New Zealand to start training, and my first training with the actual company was again I was super nervous. Everybody was there. There was some guys, now that I'm really really fond of: Ben Mana, JC Star, the Nerd. Um, I don't remember too many other people that were there. Chad Howard, Johnny Idol, who goes by Niwa now, and it was like nerve wracking. You don't know what to expect or what to do, or like you're just awkward in the ring because you have no idea what people expect of you as well. And we learned the bumps and all the basics, which is really important as a professional wrestler. But I remember two things from that training specifically. Uh, it was one of the drills was everybody line up, and you just call a move to somebody and give it to them. And now I'd never taken any moves, and I had only learned how to run the ropes and sort of just take bumps. So I was kind of like chucked into the deep end, right? And I remember I went in with this guy called Ben Munner, and he literally just grabbed me out of no. He just grabbed me, whipped me, and he just said, "Take a what was the move called? Take a pounce." Monty Brown's finisher, where he just like shoulder tackles you. And I remember him just shooting me off, running and giving me I didn't know. I just kept running until he hit me, and I just took the biggest spill I could. And I remember everybody going, "Oh, that was pretty good." But I remember in that like split second of like running the ropes before he hit me for the shoulder tackle, my heart was like pounding out of my chest, like I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, so I remember that specifically, and then the other second thing that I remember was, and I don't know if I'm conflating this with another story or not, but there was a guy who was like the manager of the the promotion. It wasn't the boss because that was Martin Sterling, but there was a guy just under him, and he he had wrestled a little bit, but I don't actually think he'd been a wrestler that long. But just at the time, I just thought he must be a veteran, right? And he asked me as I was about to leave, "Do I want to go in the ring and just do a little like extra with him, like a little bit of chain wrestling?" And I was like super young, super hyped up to be there, and I was like, "Yeah, man, of course I would love to like get some extra training in." So we went in the ring, and for an hour, we just kind of just did chain wrestling on the fly, and worked around a little bit, and it wasn't like anything too strenuous, but this was the first time I had experienced somebody taking liberties with like a young wrestler. He went in there, I feel, with the intent to hurt me, to see or to test me, to see if I had what it took. Now, at the time, I figured people would be like that in the business, but in hindsight, now looking back to it, how stupid it was to be somebody who wasn't even a veteran trying to teach me some weird lesson about professional wrestling when he wasn't even really a wrestler himself. And The one thing I specifically remember him doing was punching me a lot, which not like a real punch, but just hard enough to like let you know that this wasn't okay, you know? But the one thing that I really remember was him trying to pull my hair out of my fucking head. And when we finished, he said, "All good, like you all good?" And I went, I just in my inside, I was like pissed. I was so angry, but I didn't let him see it. I was like, "Yeah, man, of course, I'm fine." I was like, "Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to like teach me and stuff like that." And this was a time I was still living with a friend just down the road. I'd have to like walk down next to these train tracks to get to where I was staying on a couch before I actually moved into that gym. And I remember walking home fucking from that session, like like shaking. I was that angry, um, and just wondering if it was worth it. And of course, I carried on. But the thing is, I realized that there's not that many of those types of people in the business, and I remember, and I never forgot that. And I remember because he didn't wrestle that much after that situation. After he wasn't actually actively wrestling after that anyway, so like it wasn't like I was gonna see him. But then I actually did this rumble like 2 years later, and if for some reason they put him in it, this guy, and when he came out, and as soon as he said, I didn't forget. I didn't forget. As soon as he stepped through those ropes, I fucking made sure to let let her know that I hadn't forgotten. Let me just put it that way. So yeah, so that's my start to my training. Okay. Do you want to be a full-time wrestler? Oh, who's this? AVC0610. Do you want to be a full-time wrestler for RWA? Well, here's the thing. If they put up the colonies, I will consider it. But no, I don't know. No, I don't think so, man. I don't. At an independent level, I don't think being a full-time wrestler is something that I can do in a country. Hmm. I don't think RWA has enough shows, or they are financially viable enough to pay me to be a for full-time wrestler for them. If that makes sense. If they could, I would love to because Costa Rica is incredible and those fans are incredible. I would like to. I would definitely like to come more to RWA and Costa Rica and get in front of those fans. But also, I kind of want it to feel special when I do get there because obviously I've been there twice now, and both times have been insane, um, which I'm sure you're aware of. Okay, retratando por México. It's in Spanish. Hold on, let me just see what this is. It's in Spanish. One second. Okay. Cuando estabas en la WWE, ¿a quién deseabas enfrentar? And in brackets, y si se pudo o no. Which pretty much says, when I was in WWE, who did I want to face if it was possible? I mean, here's the thing with WWE, I think you have an expectation when you get there of who you are going to wrestle. Hold on, 1 second. Sorry about this, guys. Yeah, I think when you get to WWE, I'm just seeing if this is picking up on my microphone. Okay. Yeah, I think when you get to W, every time I talk, see, I told you guys. Fucking hell. Shush. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. There we go. I knew it was gonna go because I saw my neighbors. Relax, guys. Relax. I'll just let you guys have a little listen to that. So when I was in WWE, I'm just going to try and power through it because it's annoying me. When I was in WWE, I think you have an expectation of who you're going to wrestle when you get there. You know, the stuff that you see on TV. And for some reason in your mind, when you get signed to WWE, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be wrestling fucking Stone Cold and Kurt Angle, because that's the stuff that you've been watching. But when I got there, it was pretty much just the NXT, the UK scene, but in WWE, and it's all good, it's work, it's whatever, but it wasn't kind of the idea that I had in my mind of what it would be. But but there was some times that I did get like some good opportunities in America and stuff like that. So I figured if I had stayed in WWE, maybe there would be potential to wrestle some bigger names. And I always say this when I'm answering a question like this: who would I have liked to wrestle? Who's the person at the time that was making the most money? Because that could only be good for me and rub off on me. So I think maybe like a John Cena or a Roman Reigns, all that sort of stuff. That would be, the goal for me, or whoever the champ is at the time, whoever it is in NXT, like Adam Cole or whoever it was at the time. I can't remember now, but yeah, I always just wanted to be in that top echelon of wrestler, and and again, it's not a little bit selfishly, and a little bit obviously for my career and fame and money, but also too, I think for myself to see if I could be at that level, you know, if I could step up to that level to hang with those types of wrestlers. So yeah, I hope that answers. I hope that answers it. And the last question that I'll answer today is from Cynthia. And she says, it's in Spanish also, mayor reto que han pasado para adaptarse a Mexico, which pretty much means biggest challenge I faced adapting to Mexico. And I think I kind of nailed it before when we were talking about Bandito and stuff. But there's other things as well, like little things that I don't think we really expected when we first came to Mexico. It was like the language barrier was going to be so incredibly impossible at the start and give us a lot of anxiety. Even like leaving the house, that was quite scary. Um, Other things too, just sort of, I know I lived in the UK, and that could be quite busy, especially in like Birmingham and Wolverhampton. But moving into like the heart of like Mexico City, I never expected this many people, and I'm from a small town. So that was a really, really, really hard challenge for me to sort of overcome, and even to this day, it's like a lot of people for me. Um, but it's getting better, and now that we speak more Spanish, it actually helps. Um, it actually, it helps ease that anxiety, or like we feel like we can access the city more, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's about all. So that's all the questions I have for today, guys. Thank you very much for listening. I really, really appreciate it. Um, what was I going to say? Sorry, I can still hear those dogs barking. Yeah, so if you could do us a massive favor and like and comment and share and do all that stuff, and like if you could rate the podcast on Spotify if you listen there, that it would help us out tremendously. Yeah, again, like this podcast is only starting off small, but we love doing it. We love making the content. We love talking and answering questions, and talking about the business that I love as well is good. And also too, I think it's like a little bit of a therapy session, because I get to express some of the things that I haven't been able to say in a very long time, and my frustrations and stuff like that. So yeah, I just thanks for the support, and and the continued support that you guys always give to us, me and Jess. And yeah, I guess we'll see. Oh, hold on, put my social media stuff in. Travis underscore Banks 13 on Instagram. Travis Banks Pro Wrestler on Facebook. Kiwi Buzztalk on YouTube. And I think Spotify is just the podcast, which is just Buzztalk Podcast, What's Up with Wrestling. But I assume if you're already listening to it, you probably clicked through the links. So I don't know. If you listen to this on YouTube, maybe that helps you to go to Spotify. So yeah, thanks so much, guys. And yeah. I look forward to the next one next week, guys. All right. I'll see you later. Bye.